welcome back to my channel, or welcome if you are new, and welcome to a very big book haul. So over the last 3 months, I want to say, I have acquired quite a few books. We have about 41 books here, I think, to talk through today. The majority of these are either thrifted or gifted. I have not actually spent that much money on books at all over the last few months. I'm quite proud of myself. I do have a few that I've bought, and I also have a few ARCs that I've been sent, but the majority have either been gifted to me by friends or subscribers, or I have bought them at charity shops, so they've literally been like between 50p and £1 max probably. So today I am going to go through all 41 of those books. We're going to have a little chat about them. I am going to try and keep my rambling to a minimum. We all know what I'm like. I can talk for Scotland. So I'm going to try and keep it to a minimum. We're going to get through these 40 books as quickly as possible, and yeah, I hope you enjoy. Without further ado, let's get into the book haul. Okay, so I think I shall start with all of the books that I have thrifted, because I had a few people on Instagram recently asking me to do a little charity shop book haul, so we'll just start off with those. There is quite a few of them, all from my local charity shops. The majority of these are from charity shops that do either 2 for 99p, there's also one that does 3 for £1, so the majority of these books have been like 50 pence, I'd say, and I've done pretty well. So first of all, let's start with the thrillers. There are a lot of them. So first of all, I have Pieces of Her and The Last Widow, both by Karen Slaughter. Karen Slaughter is a thriller author that everyone has been begging me to read from. I am about 99% sure I am going to love her books, but I have just never got around to reading any of them. So when I saw 2 of them sitting waiting for me in a charity shop, of course I picked them up. Pieces of Her, I'm pretty sure is actually, yep, according to the sticker, it is a Netflix series, but I do not want to read the series until I have read the book. So in this one, we have a mass shooting at Andrea's local mall. Her mother, Laura, somehow finds herself in the line of fire, and hours later she is in the hospital with her face splashed all over the newspapers. But Andy has to embark on a desperate race against time to uncover the secrets of her mother's past before any more blood is shed. Which, this is supposed to be a really good dark psychological thriller, and we know I love a psychological thriller. In The Last Widow, we have a woman who is abducted in front of her child. A month later, a second is taken in explosive circumstances, but the web is bigger and darker than anyone could imagine, and the clock is ticking to uncover the truth. So 2 very good, fast-paced, explosive thrillers. Hopefully 2 that I will absolutely power through. Next up, I have 9 Perfect Strangers by Leanne Moriarty. I have not yet watched the Prime TV show for this. Again, I like to read the book before I watch the programme or the film. I have seen Big Little Lies, and I absolutely love that show. I have not read the book, however, so I'm not sure how I'm going to get on with Leanne Moriarty's writing, but I did really enjoy the show of Big Little Lies. In this one, we have 9 strangers who all go to this luxury retreat in the middle of nowhere. They have to stay there for 10 days. They can't leave. I'm pretty sure they can't like use phones or anything. They're just completely isolated in this retreat. I think each one of them is all like unreliable. We don't really trust any of them. I think we get perspectives from most of them, if not all of them. I'm pretty sure they're all hiding their own secrets, but there is also some like big bad secret at the heart of this retreat. It's all very dark, a suspenseful page turner, hopefully one that will have me hooked. Next up, I have Stay Home by Ava Pierce. This one I have literally heard nothing about. I just saw it in the charity shop and I thought it looked really interesting, so I picked it up off my own back, so we'll see. I've not heard anything about it whatsoever. This one is a thriller that was written during lockdown though, which I thought was quite interesting. So we have Caitlin and Ali. Caitlin is a woman who is having an affair, and when we enter lockdown, obviously this is near impossible to continue, but she does manage to sneak to her lover's home, and when she goes there, she finds him dead in a pool of blood. We also have Ali, who is a just about functioning alcoholic. She is recently unemployed, she is feeling lonely, so she likes to people watch her neighbours to while away the hours. And Caitlin obviously wants to avoid suspicion and keep her family, so she wants to find the killer to see if this killer knows anything about the affair, I'm assuming, but she does not know that Ali has been noticing her coming and going and is starting to draw her own conclusions. So this one sounds, again, dark, full of secrets, affairs, addictions, all the good gritty thriller stuff. and I am really excited to give it a go. Next up I have In a Dark Dark Wood by Ruth Ware. I am a fan of Ruth Ware's novels. I have read 2 of her books now. I have read The Turn of the Key, which I gave 4 stars, and One by One, which I gave 3 stars, which is also in this haul somewhere, I believe, but we'll get to that later. And this is one of the books that I have heard people most raving about of hers, so I'm really hoping to love it. So we have Nora and Claire. Nora hasn't seen Claire for 10 years, since the day Nora walked out of her old life and never looked back. But then out of the blue, an invitation to Claire's hen party arrives. A weekend in a remote cottage, the perfect opportunity for Nora to reconnect with her best friend, to put the past behind her. But something goes wrong, very wrong, and as secrets and lies unravel out in the dark, dark wood, the past will finally catch up with Nora. This is like a good, creepy, isolated thriller once again. Like, I did really enjoy the isolated setting of One by One, so I'm hoping she's going to do this one really well as well, and it's going to keep me on the edge of my seat and just a little bit creeped out. I'm really looking forward to it. Next up I have The Castaways by Lucy Clark. In this one we follow 2 sisters. We have Erin and Laurie. Laurie and Erin are supposed to go on holiday together, but they have this massive fight the night before their flight to their end destination, and Laurie gets on the plane, Erin does not, and this plane crashes on a remote abandoned island, and we follow Laurie and then when she crashes on this island and what's going on for her, and we follow Erin now as she tries to piece together what happened all those years ago as new secrets and new evidence comes to light. I have already read this one and I believe I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. Okay, the last thriller I have thrifted recently is When No One Is Watching by Alyssa Cole. I really want to get to this one as soon as possible. It's actually on my TBR for this month, but I'm not sure if I'm going to get to it. It is a thriller that I've heard so many good things about. It's supposed to be a very good page turner, and again another psychological thriller. In this one we have a Brooklyn area where I think it's basically being gentrified. People are moving out, moving into the suburbs, moving on to bigger and better things, but then Sydney and Theo find out that there might be some other sort of conspiracy that is moving these people out and sort of taking control of this area. That is all I really know, but I've heard that it is a very, very good novel, so I'm very excited to read it. Okay, the next set of books I thrifted were a trilogy. This is a fantasy romance trilogy, the Goddess of Partholon novels by PC Cass. So we have Divine by Mistake, Divine by Blood, and Divine by Choice. And in this one we follow Shannon Parker, who is part of our world that we know and love, and then she gets swept up into this other world, this parallel universe where she is like the goddess's favourite. She is getting married to a centaur, she has to save her people from these monsters, all sorts happens, but it is a very exciting ride. It is a very good romance. I have read the first one recently and I gave it 4 out of 5 stars. I absolutely loved it, but I still need to continue with the rest of the series. This is a perfect example though of the deals on wheels. Charity shops, I got all 3 of these for £1, so you can't sniff at it, can you? You really can't. Next up I have a romance, which is The Lucky Escape by Laura Jane Williams. I have read 2 books by Laura Jane Williams now. I have read Our Stop, which I gave 5 out of 5 stars. It's one of my favourite romances of all time. And I have read The Love Square, which I'm pretty sure I gave 3 out of 5 stars, and I really didn't enjoy it that much at all. So I'm hoping this one is probably going to decide my overall feelings towards Laura Jane Williams. In this one we follow Annie, who is supposed to marry Alexander, but he stands her up at the altar and she is lost. She's thrown. She thought this was it. She'd found her Mr. Right and this was going to be the rest of her life. But then she meets Patrick, who is an old friend who reminds her of who she used to be, and spontaneously she decides to go on her honeymoon with Patrick, and the story goes from there. I'm very tempted to take this one on holiday with me. I go on holiday on Monday and I think this would be a really good one to read in the sun. Okay, I have 2 more thrifted books. First of all, I have got Caroline's Bikini by Kirsty Gunn. Again, this is one I had never heard of. I've literally heard no one speaking about it, but first of all, the title, Caroline's Bikini, just totally drew me to it, and then when I read the blurb I thought it sounded like a really interesting one. So we follow Evan Gordonstone, who is a successful middle-aged financier. He meets Caroline Beresford, a glamorous housewife hostess and landlady, and he falls into unrequited love. And he recounts the tale of his infatuation to his friend Emily, and thus begins a hypnotic series of conversations set against the backdrop of West London bars, fueled in intensity by endless G&Ts. From the depths of midwinter to July's hot swelter, Evan's retelling of his passion for Caroline will take him to the brink of his own destruction. I just thought that sounded like a really interesting novel. It says it's dazzling, glamorous, breathtaking, playful, and just a big party with gin and tonics. So yeah, really looking forward to seeing what this one is all about. And my final thrifted book is The Sun Is Also a Star by Nicola Yoon. This is just one of those YA books that I never got around to reading, but I have been told to read for years and years. I've kind of moved on from YA, but this is one of those ones that I need to read before I properly move on. I have read Everything by Nicola Yoon and I love that book, so I'm hoping to love this one too. Okay, next up we have my gifted books. So I think we will start with all of the books that I was very kindly sent by my beautiful friends when they went to Yalk recently. Obviously I couldn't go because when everyone was booking for it I was really unwell and I didn't think I'd be well enough to go. I would have been, but we're just gonna leave that mess. I would have been well enough, but things didn't work out. So anyway, my lovely friends sent me a few books that they picked up while they were there, and I honestly could not be more grateful for all the thought that was put into these. So let's go through these just now. So we have A Game of Life or Death by Trina Campbell. This one is a thriller, I believe, an arc, and we follow a 16-year-old Asha Kennedy who discovers her older sister Maya's dead body, and their world starts to fall apart, but then she goes looking for answers as to what happened to her. I then have Even If We Break by Marieke Nijkamp. I may have just slaughtered that name and I apologise if I have. This one says 5 friends go to a cabin, 4 of them are hiding secrets, 3 years of history bind them, 2 are doomed from the start, 1 person wants to end this, no one is safe. Are you ready to play? It sounds so good. Like, I am hyped for this book. It sounds so exciting. Next up, I have another thriller which is called This Book Kills by Ravina Guron. And this one says, Jess wrote the perfect murder. Someone carried it out. Now she's next. Like, these 3 arcs, I'm pretty sure they all come out in February next year, and I just want to read them ASAP. I need to get these arcs in my life because they all sound so damn exciting. Next up, I have In Your Orbit by Lisa Viladsen. This is a YA novel about 2 sisters, I believe, their relationship, their friendship, how that changes when one of the sisters' mental health starts to deteriorate, how they look after each other and how they get through it. And it sounds like a really beautiful book. I always like reading anything that has some mental health representation in it, and I hope that this will be a very good one. Then I have The Hierarchies by Ros Anderson. I'm pretty sure me, Christy, Maddie and Leah are all planning on buddy reading this one together, and I could not be more excited for it. This is like a dystopian, a feminist dystopian in which we have those who are born and those who are created. So we have Sylvie, who is designed to her husband's specifications and excels at pleasing him until she returns from hospital with her memory missing, and then she starts to think about disobeying the hierarchies, leaving her human husband and going off into freedom with other dolls like her. This one sounds so damn interesting, like a feminist dystopian classic. What more could you want? Finally, I have Double Booked by Lily Linden. This is one that Maddie wanted me, Christy and a few of her other friends to read because when she read it she saw like bits of all of us in it, which I think is so cute. So they sent me this one, and this one is also signed by the author. And I'm actually reading this one this week for a reading vlog, so stay tuned for my thoughts on that one. My bed is an absolute mess, and I've been filming for 19 minutes already, so I'm gonna have to start talking less, I think. Okay, well, let's go on to the rest of the books that I have been gifted. So I did go down to Birmingham recently to visit Maddie along with Christy, and I ended up acquiring quite a few books from some very lovely people. So first of all, I have In the Miso Soup by Ryu Murakami. This one is described as a savage thriller with an incredible atmosphere, and it says it reads like the script notes for American Psycho: The Holiday Abroad. It just sounds like a very weird and wonderful little book. I've heard quite a few people talk about this one and saying it's one of those sort of like weird short books that you just have lots of thoughts about that you don't really understand, and I love a book like that, I'm not gonna lie to you guys. Next up, I have If on a Winter's Night a Traveller by Italo Calvino. This one again is not one I've really heard anyone talking about, but it's basically a book about writing and about storytelling. Like, the book takes you on a journey, it'll tell you to go from one page to another, it'll repeat things from other pages, it talks to you, the reader. It just is like a really interesting concept, and I cannot wait to give it a go. Then I have Convenience Store Woman by Sayaka Murata. In this one, we follow a young woman who works in a convenience store, and she is very happy with her life as a convenience store worker, but people are putting all sorts of expectations on her to do other things. things, and we just basically follow her over a few weeks or months, I believe, and all of her thoughts on life and what the meaning of life is. As you can see, I've already read it. I have tabbed it up, and it is a very witty, sweet, quirky little book. Next up, I have On Earth We're Briefly Gorgeous by Ocean Vuong and Untold Night and Day by Bei Sua. Both of these books I got because of Leah. She recommends both of these books all the time in her beautiful reels that she posts on Instagram, so I decided I need to give them a go and see what she is banging on about. Both of these are like adult literary fiction, I believe. Just some nice short books as well, because I've been needing more of those in my life, especially for things like readathons and stuff like that. Next up, I have Anatomy by Dana Schwartz. This was gifted to me by Christy, my bestie. This one is described as a gothic tale full of mystery and romance. It's set in Edinburgh in 1817. We have a woman who wants to be a doctor, but of course is not really allowed to be a surgeon as a woman, and her journey to become a surgeon anyway in Edinburgh in 1817, when we've got body snatchers and all sorts of things like that. And yeah, also described as like romance, so I am really intrigued by this one. I want to see what it is all about, especially this goddamn beautiful cover. I'm intrigued, I am curious, I need to know. Next up, I have a few books that have been sent to me by lovely subscribers. So I have The Falling in Love Montage by Kira Smith. This one was sent to me by Nicola as a congratulations for reaching 5k, so thank you so much to Nicola for this one. This is a female-female romance in which we follow Ruby and Saoirse. Ruby is the prettiest girl Saoirse's ever seen, but Saoirse doesn't want to get into another relationship, so Ruby challenges her to try a summer romance with the serious parts left out, just like in the movies. But what happens when the falling in love montage ends? I've heard amazing things about this one, so I'm really excited to get to it ASAP. Then I also have another couple of books that I believe were both sent to me by the lovely Naomi, who is one of my subscribers and lovely patrons as well over on Patreon, and she sent me Afterlove by Tanya Byrne and Nick and Charlie by Alice Oseman. Afterlove we have actually just read as our July book club pick for my Patreon, so I've just posted a spoiler reading vlog for this one over on Patreon for them to watch, and yeah, we've all enjoyed reading this one together. This again is a female-female romance, but it is about romance in the afterlife. That's all I'm going to say. And then obviously Nick and Charlie by Alice Oseman. This is just an extra story about Nick and Charlie from the Heartstopper graphic novels that I need to read ASAP. I think this one might actually be our August book club pick for Patreon, so Naomi's doing a really good job with the gifting here, but I think we have voted for this one for our August book club pick. So if you would like to get involved in our buddy read of this, I'm pretty sure this is the winner. I need to double check, but I'm pretty sure. If you'd like to get involved in our buddy read of this book and see my spoilery reading vlog, my Patreon is always linked down below. Okay, I think that is all the gifted and thrifted books done. Let's have a little look at the ones I have bought myself. There are a few here. I feel like this video is utter chaos, but hopefully it's enjoyable chaos. So first of all, I have 3 books that I bought, which are The Kiss Quotient, The Heart Principle and The Bride Test, all by Helen Huang. I needed The Kiss Quotient because I was a co-host for Steph from Steph Loves Literature Book Club live show for The Kiss Quotient, so I was reading it for that. I'd wanted to read it for so long anyway. I knew I was going to love it. I did end up giving it 5 out of 5 stars. So I bought this, but it was also cheaper to buy these as a trio than to buy them separately, so of course I just went and bought all 3 of them, and I am looking forward to reading the other 2. I'm pretty sure these are like companion novels. They're not like sequels, are they? I'm not even I think they follow people within the same world, but they're not. Like, you don't need to have read one to have read the others. Does that make sense? I don't know. Anyway, I'm excited for them all. I then have, as I mentioned earlier, One by One by Ruth Ware. This was our June book club pick for my Patreon, so of course I had to buy it for that, and like I said, I ended up giving it 3 out of 5 stars. This one is an isolated thriller in which we follow a group of people all on a retreat in the Swiss Alps, like a ski retreat for business. Then people start getting picked off one by one and dying, and we have to work out who the killer is. Very interesting concept, very interesting book, just didn't quite hit the mark for me. I then have 4 books that I bought in The Works. The Works is my absolute weakness. If I go in there, I will buy at least 1 book because the deals are just ridiculous. So I got The Good Girl Complex by Elle Kennedy, Book Lovers by Emily Henry, Malibu Rising by Taylor Jenkins Reid, and It Happened One Summer by Tessa Bailey. I suppose you could say all 4 of these are kind of like book talk, popular book talk TikTok romances. I have already read these two and I loved both of them. I gave them both 5 out of 5 stars, and I am planning on taking these two on holiday with me when I go on Monday, so I will have full thoughts on those ones soon too. As for these two, I do have a reading vlog in which I read both of these. It was a 24-hour reading vlog which I will link down below for you guys, but I'll also be talking about my full thoughts in my July wrap up, which will be coming soon as well. Okay, and finally we have a few arcs that have been very kindly sent by publishers and authors. So I have The House of Silence by Patricia Marquez. This is actually the sequel to The Colours of Death, I believe, which I was very kindly sent last year and I loved it. This is like a sci-fi thriller. We follow a detective who is gifted. So there are people in this world who are gifted who have certain powers, and there is all sorts of politics concerning the gifted and whether they are good or bad or whatever, and all sorts of controversy that goes on surrounding that. And we are following Detective Reese, who is looking into this sort of conspiracy and cases within it, but she is also gifted herself. So it's a very interesting read and I can't wait to get to the sequel. I then have The Silver Chain by Gion Shibani. This one is all written in verse and oh my god, it's just so freaking beautiful. Like, I don't know if you can see, I'm hoping you can, if I can just like show you a few pages. There's lots of illustrations, it's written in verse. It just looks absolutely goddamn beautiful, and it is all about, it is an irresistible read full of heart and truth told through powerful verse narrative. And it's about a young girl whose mum's mental health starts to spiral out of control and she finds solace and answers in music. And then I have Meet Me in the Middle by Alex Light. This one was sent to me by Harper 360 and I have started to read it. As you can see, I am this far through, but I started this literally like last month or the month before and I've just not picked it up again afterwards. It is no fault of the book. The book is really good and really beautifully written. From what I've read so far, I've just been picking up other things for some reason and not come back to it, but I definitely will at some point. We follow Eden, whose best friend Katie is in an accident and I believe she is in a coma in hospital, and Eden's whole life is basically turned upside down because of this. The night that Katie went into hospital, the night she had her accident, Eden had a moment with Truman, who is Katie's older brother. And obviously after this crash there's all sorts of guilt and feelings going around, so the two of them are completely alienated from each other. Truman moves away, but then he moves back, and obviously feelings are going to start to come up again and they're going to have to work through them and work through their grief as well. So far it was a beautiful read and I believe it will continue to be so. I do think this is going to be one that I love. I just need to get back to it. And finally, for this book haul, we have Mina and the Slayers by Amy McCaw. You may remember that I read Mina and the Undead by Amy McCaw last year. I loved that book, gave it 5 out of 5 stars. We follow Mina, who goes to visit her older sister in New Orleans. Hello, we love a New Orleans setting. And we have vampires, and we have murder mystery, and we have fun. We have 90s references here, there and everywhere. This is the sequel and I cannot wait to get to it. Amy very kindly sent me an arc for this, and also again just looks like a bloody beautiful book. And I cannot wait to read it. It was on my TBR for this month. Whether I read it this month is very questionable, but I will read it very, very soon. And that is it for this huge book haul. I already feel like I need to refilm this. I feel like that was chaotic AF, but hopefully it was interesting nonetheless. Hopefully you enjoyed seeing these books I have hauled recently. Hopefully you got some good book recommendations in there. We've got some romances, some thrillers, some all sorts, some books that I've loved already, some books that I am very excited for. So yeah, overall, I hope you enjoyed this video. Let me know down below what book you are most excited for in this haul, if you're excited. Or if you've read any of these, let me know what you thought of them. Let me know what books you think I should prioritise. If you made it to the end of this video, then just pop the stack of books emoji down below, because I am literally surrounded by stacks of books on this bed right now. It is a mess that I will have to clear up right now. But pop that emoji down below just to let me know that you made it to the end of this video and that you enjoyed your time here. But as always, if you did enjoy the video, then do please give it a big thumbs up. Subscribe for more bookish content from me. Comment down below with any of your thoughts and feelings. I do reply to every single comment. I love you all and I will see you in my next one.